In this module, we will review the first check-in visit with the peer mentor and mentee, which will be conducted while the mentee is still at the treatment center. In preparing for the first check-in and all the other check-ins, it is important to think about what we want when we share information and how we want folks to respond and what we don't want. Typically what we found from peer mentors that we've trained is that what we want from our mentees is respect, honesty, and attention. And what we don't want is rudeness, hostility, or folks to ignore us. What we have found is that as peer mentors, if we give what we want, we get what we want. So if we give respect and honesty and attention, we will get that back from our mentees. The peer check-in structure should enable you to give what you want and get what you want. But keep this in mind, because if you find that your mentee is perhaps behaving or responding in a way that you don't like or don't care or don't want, it's important to check the way that we may be interacting with them. As we stated earlier, the first check-in will be conducted via video chat, which will be facilitated by the research coordinator. The objectives of this check-in are really to introduce yourself and establish a connection and rapport with your mentee. You will also describe your role as a peer mentor so that they can understand who you are and how they will be interacting with you. And also to establish guidelines with your mentee, particularly around privacy, confidentiality, and boundaries. This information is in more detail in your peer manual, and we suggest that you refer to some of those tips and tricks, as well as looking at Module 2, which is about credibility and establishing rapport. For all of your check-ins, it's completely essential that you plan ahead and consider your mentees' needs and limitations. You want to talk to them about their daily and weekly routines. Do they have support groups that they attend every Monday from 1 to 3? Do they have their grandchildren that they have to watch every Wednesday and Thursday from 8 until 4? More you learn about this and what their limitations and needs are, the better you can come up with a fairly consistent schedule for doing the weekly check-ins. You want to make a plan with them as a partner for how and when you will communicate with them. And while the best made plans are great, they may not always work out. So remember, as a peer mentor, it's important to be flexible and talk with your mentee in the beginning. Like, if you have something that comes up, just send me a text or give me a call or an email to let me know you can't make the appointed time we had planned. Likewise, if you have something come up in your own life, that you will communicate that with them so that you can then reschedule and keep to the consistency of at least checking in once a week. It's less important that you check in once a week at the same time or day, but more important that that weekly check-in is complete in person to the extent that you can, whether it's be on phone, on video chat, and if need be on text, depending upon the needs of the mentee as well as the situation that you may be experiencing that week. Now that you've watched a couple videos demonstrating the first check-in, this slide basically provides you with some text that you can use to guide your first check-in. For some peer mentors, they like to use this text to literally guide them through that first check-in. Other mentors like to use this as a toolbox in case they are feeling stuck, but prefer to get started just kind of being themselves. So think about what works best for you. Again, the main objectives of that first check-in are to establish that relationship and rapport with your mentee, get them to understand your role and that you are a source of support for them, and to really establish a fairly routine check-in schedule that will last throughout 37 weeks.